We're here at the City of West Palm Beach Library. My name is Shantriana Williams, and I'm here with
Eddie Gooden.
what wards and branches of the service did you serve in?
I served in the United States Navy, and I went to Vietnam.
What was your rank?
I was seaman.
Were you drafted or enlisted?
I enlisted.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in Cleveland, Ohio.
Why did you join?
I thought it was the right thing to do. I graduated from high school. Really didn't have anything to do, didn't have any type of skills, so I figured I'd join the service and, try to better myself and learn some skills.
Why did you choose the service branch you joined?
Well, I tried to get in the Marine Corps, and the drill inspector or drill sergeant told me that I needed to join the Navy. I disagreed with him. The reason why he told me, I don't know, but I couldn't get in the Marine Corps, so I went into the Navy.
Do you recall your first days in service?
Yes. They were enjoyable. I was raised in an orphanage. I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, but I was raised in an orphanage which had junior ROTC. So I had the military background, and going in from the ROTC into the military was just a little small transition.
What did it feel like?
It felt good.
Tell me about your training experiences.
Well, it was basically marching, physical. It wasn't really nothing out of the norm.
Do you remember your instructors?
I'm sorry?
Do you remember your instructors?
I remember one.
How did you get through it?
Well, it was rough at times. It was rough at times because at the time I was in, I was in the service, and my brother had just got out of Vietnam a couple of years before I went in, and when I was in, he got killed in the States. So it was rough.
Which wars did you serve in?
Vietnam,
Where exactly did you go?
the Gulf of Tonkin.
Do you remember arriving?
Yes,
What was it like?
it was exciting.
What was your job?
I was a bosun's mate, high caseman,
Did you see combat?
little.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
No.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
The fact that we went to like 4 different countries. We went to China, went to Hawaii, went to Philippines. We also went to Japan.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
No.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
I didn't.
What was the food like there?
It was excellent.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
Pressure. Stress.
How How did people entertain themselves?
Well, we had movies on the ship, and whenever we went to port, we would go out and, check out the different sites.
What did you do on the leave?
If you really want to party,
Where did you track? Well, no. Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
not at this time, no.
What did you think of the officers and your fellow soldiers?
Like brothers.
Do you recall the days your service ended?
Yes.
Where were you?
I was flown in from Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines to San Francisco.
What did you do in the days and weeks afterward?
Just try to get used to civilian life again.
Was your education supported by the GI Bill?
Yes.
Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service?
Yes, I did.
Do you continue any of those relationships?
No.
What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
Well, basically, I went to a machine shop, was a machinist.
Did your military experiences influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Yes. I thought it was a useless war.
What kinds of activities does your post or association have?
I'm sorry, repeat it.
What kinds of activities does your post have?
My post. None.
How did your surveys and experiences affect your life?
It's hard to answer that question because it's hard to answer that question right now.
Is there anything you would like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
Well, as you know, this interview, I'm a simple guy. I take everything easy, I'm still trying to get my life together, and with the help of the VA, it's happening, and people like Mr. Cartwright, and I'm learning something different every day, and just trying to help live life the best I can, hopefully one day I'll be able to get myself together where I can help younger people get their life together before they get my age, you know what I'm saying? So, and basically that's what's going on in my life right now. And the fact that I see these young people here doing things that's going to change the world, believe it. God want to change the world.
I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor
All right.
for questions. I wrote some things down. Anybody have any questions at the moment? Eric, go ahead.
Did you ever get seasick?
Never.
Did you have any casualties in your unit?
No.
Any what?
Casualties.
Oh. You did say you saw a certain amount of combat?
Just a little bit.
But you didn't see anybody get hurt?
No.
What year did you go into service?
I went in 71,
Okay, and you got out.
72.
What kind of work were you doing before you went into service?
I worked for McDonald's.
Okay, all right. How long were you in basic training?
3 months.
3 months. Where?
And Chicago, Great Lakes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what was basic training like? You know, what was it all about?
Well, for me, it was.
How did you feel when you got there?
I was ready for it because, like I said, I was raised in ROTC school, and basically we did everything that you did in the service, but it was just on high school level. So I mean, it was just like me just transitioning from, you know, the first step to the second step.
What was your MOS?
I was a boatswain's mate.
Okay. What did that job comprise of?
Consisted of keeping the machine in operating condition, the gun mounts taken care of, things like that.
When you say machine, what kind of machines?
The winches and the all the oil rigs and everything.
What is a winch?
A winch is what we use to take one oil tube to the next ship. Okay, and it's also to use for, like when I got out the service, we was in the middle of the ocean, and they had to take me from one ship to the other ship, so they did it with a winch.
Gotcha. How long was basic training, and how long was it technical school?
Well, I didn't go to any technical schools, but my basic training was 3 months.
And what did your combat experience consist of? Where was that exactly?
It was in the Gulf of Tonkin, and what we did out there in the Gulf of Tonkin, we refueled all the ships.
Okay.
You know.
Was that under gunfire?
Well, a couple of times it wasn't under gunfire, but we had some MiGs heading toward us, and we had to drop rigs and, you know,
Get out.
Get out.
Get out of there?
Yes.
How do you get away from a MiG when you're on a boat?
Well, the only reason why the ship that I was on, we could only do 16 knots. Everybody else could do 32, whatever. So we were sitting ducks, but we had the Enterprise in the midway out there. So
They protected you.
exactly.
You just needed to get moving again.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
So can you tell us something about your visits to these 4 countries? Can you expand on that?
Basically, you know, I mean, it's a whole different world. You know, it's a whole different world. I mean,
What, in Asia?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's a whole different world, and the people were very nice people. I mean, you know, they treated you with respect, and basically by me being young, basically the only thing I really had on my mind was just trying to forget about everything and just going out and enjoying it, you know, and the bar scene and things like that.
What countries did you go to again?
I went to Hong Kong, I went to China,
And the cities, yeah.
I went to the Philippines, went to Hawaii, and went to Singapore.
What was Singapore like?
Singapore was beautiful. They don't even have paper on the ground.
They don't have what?
You can't even spit on the ground in Singapore. It's that clean.
Really?
Yes.
How was the food?
The food was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
The food was excellent.
How long did you stay in each one of those cities?
Oh, we just pulled in port. Maybe we stayed at the most 3 days.
In and out? Okay.
Yeah. When we went to the Philippines, that was different. It was different because a lot of times when we went to the Philippines, we went back to get refueled. So we might have been there maybe a week or so.
Clark Air Force Base. What island is that on?
Oh, I couldn't tell. I think it's on Manila, if I'm not mistaken.
What were the circumstances surrounding the stress and the pressure that you experienced?
Well, basically, you know what? Basically, my stress. I guess my stress was just firing the guns when we had to, because I was a hot caseman. I didn't really appreciate the job.
You were what?
A hot caseman. And
Oh.
what a hot caseman does is when you fire the gun, the case that flies out of the gun, you have to catch it and throw it out of the gun mount.
It wasn't hot?
It was hot.
You had to wear
Yeah,
gloves?
you had gloves from up here.
All the way. I was wondering if you burned your arms.
No. And you know, the fact that you're standing behind this big gun, you know, and it's got the recoil, and you have to stand in a certain position in order to catch it, you know, it can get stressful.
And how many hours at a time or minutes at a time did you have when you were on duty or on post to do that?
Only at when we had
What was the block of time? Like 15 minutes, 30 minutes,
15,
hour?
20 minutes, 15, 30
And you get a
minutes.
replacement?
Yeah.
Okay. And one of my students had a question. Shantriana, what was that question you asked me while we were sitting over here?
Oh, what is GI Bill? What is that? GI Bill.
The GI Bill was an educational program that they had for all veterans from I'm not quite sure, I think from 60 or maybe 50 to whatever.
To the day, right? Doesn't the
yeah,
GI
well-
Bill still exist?
Well, it's called something else today. It's a different bill today, but at my time it was called the GI Bill. And what they would do, they would provide you with money to be able to go to college or go to vocational school.
Then that also include your health benefit or not? Just about education.
Just education. I think like when I got out, your health benefits was automatic, you know.
Okay. What kind of, you were only stationed at one base? Oh, well, you were on the boat.
Yeah.
The ship on the entire time.
Yeah, I was
right?
on the ship the entire time.
How big was that ship?
I think it was like 350 feet long.
Okay. And how deep, you know?
It was a good 30 feet. No, let me see. Yeah, if we was out of the water, we was like 30 feet up in the air.
Okay, well, question is, what kind of ship was it?
It was an oiler.
Oh, was it a tanker?
Tanker, yes.
Okay. So what, did they have any activities for you all on the ship at all?
Yeah, well, we had movies and things like that. And then plus, you know, when you go into ports, you know, you buy your different, you know, like guitars or whatever, amusements, you know, your tape players or, you know, whatever. And basically, you know, it was just like being at home, really.
Did they have a gym on the ship?
No.
So, but you all did, what, calisthenics every day or something, or?
Not really.
No.
Not really.
You didn't have to?
You know, it was like a regular work job. You put in 8 hours,
That was
you
it.
know, and that was it, you know, and what you did after your 8 hours was up to you.
Because there were 3 shifts, right?
Excuse me?
People being on duty, 3 shifts?
No, it was just one 8-hour shift, and then they had watch duty, and that consisted of maybe 4 people.
That was it.
Yeah.
So I guess besides just operating, running, you know, the people who actually navigated the ship,
Yeah,
otherwise everybody just was on for 8 hours and that was it.
That was it. Yes.
Of course, unless it was some
Yes. Unless
combat,
exactly.
then there'd be 3 shifts. Why did you feel like it was a useless war?
Well, because they didn't have any intentions on trying to win that war, and it lost a lot of young lives for nothing.
Did you serve when Nixon was the president? Is that why you made the comment about not wanting to win the war? Because I know that he was. Is that the war that he?
You talking about Johnson?
What war was president?
Vietnam. It was the Vietnam War.
Nixon was president during Vietnam. Because I know that he was secretly pushing the war.
Yeah, well, from my understanding,
Didn't Nixon come on after Johnson?
yeah,
It was Kennedy,
yeah, Kennedy,
Johnson, and Nixon.
yeah.
And the war was still going on when Nixon came in.
And Nixon, if I'm not mistaken, Nixon's the one that stopped the war.
Right.
You know.
But it still went on for a while after
Yeah.
he got into the presidency.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know.
So, what's your question?
I mean, I was wondering if that's why you said they had no intention of winning.
They had no intentions on winning that war because that war could have been ended a lot sooner than they.
So I was doing research on him, and they said that while he was telling this society that he was trying to stop it, he was doing secret agreements with the Japanese.
For what?
I don't know specifically, but he made the war go on longer than it should have,
Okay.
purposely. Which is why they
I
impeached.
I believe myself there was a lot of people making a lot of money on that war being fought.
Okay, well, beyond that war, and just in regard to being in the military, what was your overall impression of the military and your military experience?
If I had to do it all over again, I would.
How many years were you in total?
I was only in for a year. Only reason why I was in for a year, my brother was killed at the time I was in Vietnam, and I went home. You know, I was in the middle of I wasn't in Vietnam at that point. I was on my way to Japan, and when my brother died, I flew back to the States. I was like, he died on November the 3rd, and I believe I got home on maybe November the 6th, so he was buried and everything. And the fact that I went home and then I came back, you know, I was very depressed. You know, I was very depressed, and all the officers seen it because, you know, they knew the type of person I was. I'm not, you know, and they asked me if I wanted to get out, and I said, you know, being on that kind of depression and no one helping me deal with it, I said yes. You know, if I had that chance to do over again, and I could have got somebody to sit down and say, hey, you know, we're going through these grieving process, you know, and, you know, we're going to give you time, you know, and it never happened. So I left, and I say about 3 or 4 months after I had got out, you know, and, you know, got the grieving over with, I wish I could have stayed. I wish I would have stayed in there.
You didn't try to go back in?
I asked if I could go back in.
Oh, really?
So I don't, you know, by me being depressed at the time that I was out, I don't know if they, on my discharge, if they said, you know, this is something mentally, you know what I'm saying? It could, if they put something mental on my discharge papers, then I wouldn't have been able to go back, because I did go ask,
Right.
you know.
And what did they tell you?
They told me I couldn't come back in. So I was going to try to get another branch. They told me the same thing.
Okay, so when you got out of the military, did you go to work right away, or what did you do?
When I didn't go work right away.
Where did you go back to?
I went back to Cleveland, Ohio, and I got married. I got married. Where was I working? Oh, I did go work, straight to work. I went to Warner and Swayze machine shop. I started working in a machine shop.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I did go back to work.
And you say you got married.
I got married, yes.
You have any children?
I got a son, yes. I got a daughter.
You got a boy and a girl, huh?
Yeah, but different mothers.
So you still have the same job now? I mean, was that the job you retired from, or?
No,
Obviously, you moved from there.
yeah, I moved from Ohio. I came to Florida in '85. I started working. Well, I started working through Manpower, and I got a job working for RFD Elliott. They made emergency life rafts. I worked there for like 4 years, And then I worked for AAA Cooper Transporting Company for like 5 years. Went back up north, worked for another company for maybe 6 or 7 months, then came back to Florida. And, you know, I've been working different jobs for the last 15 years.
Obviously, I suspect you made some friends while you were in the military.
I did make friends while I was in the military.
Did you stay in touch with any of them?
There was one that I stayed in touch with because he lived in the same area, well, close to the same area. He stayed in Columbus, Ohio, and I stayed in Cleveland, Ohio. And at the time I got out, it wasn't, had it been under different circumstances, it might have been a whole different story.
Are you still in contact with?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Well, does anybody else have any questions? Any other curiosities? Okay. Well, we want to thank you very much for giving your time to us and allowing us to interview you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to tell us?
Well, I'd like to say thank you for, inviting me, and continue to do what you're doing because, I'm not the greatest prospect to be interviewed, but, I did the best I could. But
You did just fine.
you got people out there that can really help your program, and there's a lot of people that needs help. So just continue to do what you're doing.
Right.
And, I expect to see all y'all on CNN one day running it.
Thank you very much.